About 2 months ago, I posted a video talking about my triumphant comeback, specifically mentioning how my health had improved in certain ways that allowed me to do things that maybe previously I wasn't able to do physically.
Hello everyone, I know it's been a while. I wanted to talk about a few things. Firstly, my health has improved in some ways, namely the amount of energy that I have.
Right after I posted that video, I got very sick, which at this point it just feels so silly. When you live in near constant proximity with what feels like death, even though it might not specifically be that, the number of times that your old body makes promises that your new body can't keep starts to feel like a cosmic joke. And while I fully understand that a lot of people who suffer from chronic illness, maybe having a sense of humor in these moments is difficult, and it's often very difficult for me as well, but sometimes you just have to laugh.
I'm feeling quite a bit better. It's been a few days. Now, two things off the top. I'm in a lot of pain right now. My neck hurts a lot, and I've been filming for 30 seconds. My tinnitus is getting louder the longer that I sit here. I had to set up this camera and everything else. And look, I'm sick. I'm sick all of the time, even when I'm doing better, even when I can speak and I can walk and I can cook and I can shower. I'm still sick, even when I'm doing those things. There is not a single day where my illness is not affecting me. But I'm popping in here to assuage the often depressing and dramatic nature of discussing chronic illness.
I had intended with that last video to begin posting videos every 2 weeks, approximately, allowing myself room for whether or not I was feeling well or not, to maybe post more infrequently or more frequently. And with things the way that they currently are, I'm reminded of the inherent flakiness of a person who lives with severe chronic illness like I do. I sometimes forget what can happen and how quickly. And I think, at least from the community of people I've spoken to who also suffer from chronic illness, this is a really common and recurring thread. The holding multiple ideas at the same time of knowing you're chronically ill or disabled, that you lack oftentimes fundamental abilities that a lot of people never even think about. Being able to brush your teeth, take a shower, etc. Holding that in your mind, knowing that you're not always fully capable of doing those things. And then also, if you weren't born disabled or chronically ill and you have memory of a body that was once capable of doing those things, you still feel that capacity. You still feel like you're able to do those things, even though you can't. Or if you do, the payment for it is not, you might need an extra hour of sleep. The payment is you might post a video 2 months ago and then struggle to set up the camera next to your bed to film the next one.
This is my triumphant return. This is Aragorn pushing the doors open at Helm's Deep. Yes, I have fallen off a mountainside, but I survived with some scrapes and bruises. I'm back, everybody.
Proximity to death is a pretty clear lens. It makes parts of the world a lot clearer. It distorts others, and I fully recognize that as well. Human bias is impossible to avoid, but it clears a lot of things up. One of the things that it clears up is bullshit.
Look, he's right. I'm right. Chronic illness does clear up let's call it nonsense. Today, when I'm a little bit less angry about how my body feels, it makes it a lot easier to be honest with people when you're not fully certain if you're going to be here tomorrow. That doesn't mean my codependency fully melts away just because I'm feeling like I'm going to die. I still have this kernel of codependency in me, even like at my very worst. In fact, I remember being in the hospital. This was back when I was still living in Indiana. I remember being in a hospital and just like looking at the metrics, I guess, of what my body was doing and like looking at the doctors, like multiple doctors standing around my bed, like with charts and talking to each other and having no clue what's going on. And I'm just like looking at my heart rate, steady at 160 for multiple hours and just like struggling to breathe and the doctors having no clue what's going on. And my mom being right next to me. And I remember feeling this like, I bet she's struggling right now. I bet she's having a hard time. As I'm like weighing 117 pounds, I'm 5'11, 117 pounds, wasting away, dying, like literally dying. And I see my mom next to me. And like, look, there's two sides of this, right? Of course, I'm a human person seeing this other person who I care about who is having a hard time. But who's having the tougher time here, right? Maybe it's okay for me to focus on myself in that moment. But I remember seeing her and saying to her, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay with letting go. I don't remember what my exact words were at that moment, but basically letting her know I'm probably going to die and that's okay. It's okay. I have accepted it. One thing that's also really frustrating about chronic illness is the cycle of it. You'll often go through cycles of acceptance. So like I have accepted that I'm going to die so many times. And then when I start feeling like this, when I start feeling just even like the tiniest bit better, I'll go, I don't want to die. I want to live. I like being alive. I like my partner and our dogs and our life together. And like, I like playing video games and watching movies. I know a lot of people are upset with Disney and every iteration of what they've done in the last 10 years. I like just about all of it. I'm really easy to please. Of all the people. What I really wanted to say was to the people who followed me for a long time, who've never heard me utter a single cuss, I swear. I swear all the time. I swear constantly. And I think more people should swear, even children and priests and all the kinds of people who you think shouldn't swear. I think everybody should swear. I think that swearing is medicine for the soul. It is catharsis and release in ways that I think, especially for people who never swear, you should try it. It is like taking whatever poison you've pent up in yourself from any, category and just saying, I'm not going to carry that anymore. Swear word. So sometimes I say shit, and I might say shit moving forward on this channel. If that's something you're not down with, you have my full support to live your life however you want to. I'm going to do the same.
I used to post videos in my car just talking about things that were going on in my life, and those were as honest as it is now. But things have changed for me. I have let go of a lot of things that I wanted to do because I know I just physically won't be able to do them in my lifetime. And there are certain things that I do want to be able to do. And so if I'm a man divided, right, there's that Chinese proverb of chase two rabbits and you'll catch none. I need to chase one. Well, I'm more chasing a tortoise. I have to chase something that I can actually catch up to with my body.
I can't be learning how to produce and mix and master. I can't learn how to better market myself. I can't learn a new instrument. I can't be transcribing, sitting down, writing original music, right, creating albums. I can't do all of those tasks at the same time like most healthy people would be capable of doing, even if sometimes it's difficult. I physically am unable to do all of that. So, two people who know my music intimately and know my process intimately, Andrew and Casey, they can give me good answers as to, hey, here are some places where you've got weaknesses that you could make market improvements, and your music, you'd be infinitely more proficient if you learned how to do these things, which are things we know how to do and can teach you how to do or can point you in the right direction. Accepting that limit is, I think, the most important thing. I don't think anything will bring you more peace, despite what most healthy people, I think the mindset that they have is, no, you can do anything. I don't think anything will bring you more peace than saying, okay, here's some things I can't do. I'm going to let go of those things. I'll never be able to do those things, and that's okay. Here are some things that I can do, and I'm going to excel in those things.
Like it doesn't stop. It just looks different. It just looks different. And right now, this is what it looks like. And if I don't accept that this is what it looks like and to learn how to have some semblance of a life that looks a little bit like this sometimes, or maybe for the rest of whatever time I have left, it's so much worse. It's so much worse. Acceptance is absolutely paramount when it comes to chronic illness. There's no grand wisdom in this. Pragmatism, it's real. Like, most of you are going to experience some form of this in your life. Like, the overwhelming majority of people who live to old age experience disability and chronic illness. So learn to get practical. Learn to grieve things in a healthy way. And learn that the cycle of grief also repeats. I'm constantly grieving the fact that, like, I can't skateboard anymore. By the way, I tried. I now have a scar on my face from when I tried to skateboard. I landed a pop shove it, and then I tried to do some primo tricks where you like are up on the trucks and doing all kinds of flips and stuff and landed back into primo, because I used to be able to do that pretty well. Yeah, not so primo anymore, and I have the face scar to prove it. Again, no grand wisdom. Just be here while you're here, man. All right. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you later.